To all of our special guests here this morning, to all of our veterans, good morning, Patriots. You know, what a joy and a true honor it is for my wife Terry and me to be with you this morning as the sun rises across this great land from coast to coast, and cities and towns both large and small. America comes together this day, and rightfully so, to recognize, to honor, and to express our heartfelt appreciation for our nation's veterans. You know, my own appreciation for this special day really starts with a chain of events that occurred on the early morning hours of December 7th, 1941. A young Marine who had never been out of his little hometown of Slocum, Alabama, found himself on the very small, tiny island of Midway in the Pacific. And in those early morning hours of December 7th, 1941, as a field radio operator, he received a transmission. On the other end of the transmission was a young Marine captain. The captain said, "Get Colonel Shannon up, Oahu has been bombed." Well, the problem was the young Marine's orders were to not disturb Colonel Shannon, and further, he had no idea where Oahu was. Well, he told the captain that. The captain, you can only imagine his response. I won't repeat it because there are ladies here this morning. The captain said, "Get Colonel Shannon up, Pearl Harbor has been bombed." Well, he figured that out. He knew where that was. That young Marine was my father, Ike. When you're raised by an Iwo Jima Marine, you just have a deep appreciation of those signs that came by that said freedom indeed is not free. You know, each generation of Americans are like a chapter of a book, and together they tell a unique American story, a story of exceptional sacrifice in pursuit of the highest ideals that has ever been put to paper. And they're so eloquently expressed in our Declaration of Independence. Let me just pause for a moment to read from our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. These are worthy and noble values that are defended by our veterans, and those are the values which define who we are as Americans. You know, what a great privilege it is to represent the good folks of the 2nd District. Did you know that we have over 100,000 veterans in our community, over 100,000 strong? And from its inception, from our country's very inception, our region has played a special role in defense of our country. You know, from the airfields at Oceana and in Hampton and in Norfolk, and from the piers in Norfolk and at Little Creek, men and women have gone into harm's way not knowing if they would return. Their families were waiting patiently for them to return. And for our Blue Star families this morning, those who have a service member or who have ever had a service member serving, we stand with you. We thank you for your service to your country by supporting your husband, your father, your daughter, your niece or your nephew in service. And also this morning, we know and we pause to honor and remember those who did not come home. Those who were the family members who did not come home, our Gold Star family members represented this morning. We have not forgotten you. You have a day, Memorial Day, but this too is your day. Veterans Day is a day to honor your family member, and we do this morning. Well, it's a great privilege to serve this wonderful community. And I would say this, that I'm mindful of what our very first Commander-in-Chief said about the obligation that we have to our veterans. He put it this way: if we want to know what we're supposed to do, let's listen to the very first Commander-in-Chief. He said this: "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, is directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated George Washington. And our duty this morning, it extends far beyond just thanking them this morning. You know, all of us collectively, as a nation, we need to stand by the promises were made to our veterans with respect to retirement, health care, and making sure, and I so support what the President said about this topic. You know, our veterans, you fought overseas and you came home. You should not have to fight when you get home for a job. Well, I've learned in my short time in Washington that the shorter the one speaks, the shorter the remarks, the louder the applause. So I'll wrap up with this, even though it's a beautiful day and I could say so much more about our veterans. I want to share with you this, is that it is with great appreciation, the highest respect, that from one American to another, from one American family to another, and from each of every one of us here this morning, that we say to our veterans, thank you. Thank you for standing between those who would harm the American people. Thank you for standing in the gap, for being bold, for being willing to leave your family and serve your country. May God richly bless each and every one of you, your families, and may God forever bless this wonderful land that we are privileged to call the United States of America. Thank you so much.